There are loads of Xbox games at Gamescom, but FOMO is not needed here. Oh no, we'll be going and we'll be sure to bring you along with us for that sweet gamey goodness.
I just cannot wait, and we need you guys actually to let us know in the comments down below which of these games you want us to bring you precious previews on. So let's dig into them. And since we know how impatient you lot are, we're going to start with titles that even those of us who can't make it to Germany will be getting their hands on either right now or in the very near future.
So let's start with the Elder Scrolls Online's witchy new expansion, Necrom. It was conjured into existence a few months ago, and for those who haven't dabbled in the dark arts just yet, they'll have a chance to at Gamescom. There are also community roundtables in place because gaining forbidden knowledge of eldritch horrors beyond your comprehension is way more fun when you do it with friends.
And another title which Game Pass subscribers can dive into right now is Microsoft Flight Simulator. But this series always has something cool and new bleeping onto its radar, like November's Dune expansion or the brand new title arriving next year. So we're pretty glad it's taken the time for a stopover in Cologne. Overwatch 2 got a whole new bunch of maps and missions earlier this week as part of its AI blasting PvE invasion update. Gamescom is going to provide players with the perfect chance to get the lay of the land, and who knows, might just save their life someday. And as if by magic, the first-person spellcaster Immortals of Aveum pops into existence the day before Gamescom kicks off, making it the perfect place to check out this innovative next-gen shooter. With tons of spells to master and bad guys to blast from previous Call of Duty and Dead Space creators, this one is sure to have players enchanted. Get it, Bex? 'Cause magic?
Let's move on. There aren't many things we'd allow to interrupt our Gamescom experience, but an all-out brawl between heavily armed mech suits from the creators of Dark Souls, Sekiro and Elden Ring, which I've completed by the way. Yeah, I'll make an exception for that one. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon arrives on August 25th and it'll be at Gamescom too. On August 29th, we'll be diving down under the waves for a narrative adventure about loss, grief, and how incredibly scary the ocean can be. There are all sorts of mysteries lurking beneath the water, and Gamescom will give players a head start on uncovering them. Okay, Henry, let's take a little diversion onto the offbeat, unconventional, and often downright odd offerings of Idea Xbox. These 14 indie darlings promise to be some of the most intriguing titles at Gamescom. For example, Game Pass members can get ready to shuck and jive in the underwater Souls-like Another Crab's Treasure. Playing as a humble hermit crab, you'll get to outfit yourself with all sorts of different shells, learn fighting techniques from other sea creatures, and battle your way through a whole variety of soggy biomes.
There's also going to be Headbangers Rhythm Royale, which is a multiplayer mini-game fest in which you compete against 29 other pigeons to establish who the ultimate headbanger is. I'm not really sure if those words have ever been said in that order before, but you know what? That's what indie gaming is all about. The Lamplighter's League is a new tactical adventure game inspired by classic pulp stories, and it will be coming to Game Pass on day one this October. It's truly the ideal game to play in a year where Indiana Jones made his grand return. Oh, and we haven't forgotten about Bethesda's indie game either, so why don't you subscribe and ring the bell for all the latest info on that one too.
Not many games sit in the middle of the dungeon crawler / city builder Venn diagram, but SteamWorld Build sure does. Managing a mining town on an alien planet with all sorts of ancient technology buried beneath its surface, although that's not all that's down there. And if you're ready to get really weird, then check out Worldless, a mind-bending 2D platformer with turn-based combat and some exceptionally trippy visuals. This will take players on a journey of inner growth and understanding as they walk the line between the physical and astral planes, which all sounds lovely.
Now, are you looking for the tranquility and gentle pacing of a farming game, kind of like Stardew Valley, but also the feeling of immense power that comes from piloting a great big mech, Armored Core style? Well, then take yourself over to the Lightyear Frontier. This unique slice of extraterrestrial agriculture will be opening its barn doors next year as a day one addition to Game Pass, giving players the chance to grow exotic crops, build their own space-age dream house, and even head over to your buddies' farms online to see what they've got growing on.
Howdy!
Oh, and you'll also get to stomp around inside a mech suit, which is obviously awesome.
If Stray has taught us anything, it's that everybody really does want to be a cat. And they'll get the chance to do so again in Little Kitty Big City, clawing its way straight onto Game Pass next year. This feline adventure lets you explore a vibrant metropolis as you try to find your way home.
Cocoon is a puzzle game in which each level actually exists inside an orb that your character carries around on their back. Look, I'm not saying I completely get how that works, but the game looks so charming that I'm also not sure I care. Big, weird feminist tales are all the rage this year. Just ask Barbie. And Dead Pets Unleashed fits that bill pretty nicely. Playing as a demonic punk band with ambitions of making it big, this genre-smashing game is a slice-of-life sim, a rhythm game, a management light, and so much more.
If you're interested in Japanese culture, then you'll find plenty to love in Mineko's Night Market, a narrative-driven social sim that's coming straight to Game Pass this September. With items to craft, quests to undertake, and oh so many cats to encounter, this one's got something for everyone. If you're looking to reconnect with nature but don't want to actually go outside, Naiad has got you covered. It's a colourful, minimalistic, extremely chill exploration adventure that's sure to wash the stresses of modern living right off of you. Players will get to solve all kinds of plant-based puzzles in Botany Manor. To help each new plant flourish and thrive, you'll need to get creative, searching for clues, trying out different environments, and experimenting with the interactive items littered across your vast 19th century home. Explore a world inspired by Icelandic folklore with Island of Winds. Hellblade fans who love the game's eerie atmosphere, rich storytelling, and chilly environments should definitely keep an eye out for this one. Stumble Guys is a massively multiplayer knockout game which will have you dodging wrecking balls, giant hammers, other giant hammers, and more as you try to become the last player stumbling.
Once we finish playing all of those amazing ID Xbox games, have a bit of pork knuckle, maybe a Kolsch or two, we've also got all kinds of other bangers that we know you're all dying to get your hands on. Towerborne was one of the many sick-looking titles announced at this year's Xbox Showcase, and it will be coming day one to Game Pass. I'm getting used to saying that. A side-scrolling co-op adventure that takes place in a dystopian but still very cheerful-looking world, Towerborne looks like the perfect game to buddy up in. The game won't get into its full monster-slaying swing until next year, but players who use their Microsoft accounts to sign up for its Insider program, which we have a video on how to do that right up there in the top right-hand corner, will be able to playtest it ahead of time and give their feedback. So even if you're not Germany bound, you can still give Towerborne a try. Another title revealed at the showcase was the magical, mystical mountain climbing adventure Jusant. This tranquil solo adventure will have players clambering through all kinds of beautiful biomes as they make their way upwards, slowly piecing together the history of the mountain and the people that live on it as they go. It might be a cliche, so don't moan about it when I say it, but Jusant really is more about the journey than the destination. It boasts an extremely tactile, ludicrously satisfying climbing mechanic, which sees you controlling each of your character's arms with the trigger buttons, while using a chargeable jump to fling yourself from one handhold to another. Or, a few yards away from it, leaving you to plummet back from whence you came. Oh dear. Jusant will be climbing up onto Game Pass as a day one release this autumn, but which of the titles on their way to Game Pass are you most excited about? Let us know down in the comments. Right, what else we got, Bex?
Well, if you're looking for an action RPG with some serious anime style, and I know you love those, Henry, Infinity Strash Dragon Quest The Adventures of Dai is for you.
I also love them with really long names, so that's handy.
Take part in spectacular battles, recreate iconic scenes from the manga, and wield a huge range of powerful magic as you fight to save your friends. It's currently scheduled to release on September 28th, so it should be out by the time you finish saying the title. If you're really sick of watching the good guys win, then Dungeons 4 might be just what you're looking for. This sinister management sim puts you in charge of a lair filled with ghouls and goblins who you'll need to tend to until they're old enough and ugly enough to be unleashed into the overworld. All the joys of parenting.
Payday 3 arrived at this year's showcase with a bang. And then another bang, and then a whole bunch of popping noises. The latest entry in this co-op FPS will be blasting its way onto Game Pass on September 21st, bringing with it loads of new places to heist, new gadgets to use, and new ways to immediately mess the whole thing up and end up in a panicky, all guns blazing firefight. The recent beta showcased the huge range of options players will have when it comes to pulling each job off. From carefully executed plans that don't leave a trace of evidence behind, to slightly less subtle approaches, which we happen to get involved in quite a lot on Twitch. This is a game that really shines in co-op, so just make sure that you and your crew are on the same page. Game Pass members will be taking a trip back into the exclusion zone this December as the highly anticipated survival shooter STALKER 2 arrives. With its roaming gangs of bandits and hideously mutated monsters, the exclusion zone is no place to dilly-dally. You'll need to keep your wits about you and put the game's extensive arsenal of weaponry to good use if you want to survive. But be mindful of the decisions you make while you're out there scrapping, because the consequences might reach further than you intended. This game is absolutely harnessing the power of the Xbox Series X and S to deliver an irradiated world that is eerily atmospheric and very much alive, and Stalker 2 is sure to be an adventure that you won't forget anytime soon. But do you guys want a deep dive into our experience with the game? Well, let us know in the comments down below, because we're going to get hands-on with it at Gamescom.
Basically the polar opposite of that, Sonic the Hedgehog has been dazzling us with his 3D adventures and movie star charisma in recent years. But Sonic Superstars will see him getting back to what he does best, running from one side of the screen to the other really fast. Featuring 4 playable characters and a menacing new villain, this 2.5D platformer looks like a slice of classic Sonic action. Game Pass members who have completed Persona 5, well done, and are craving a return to Café LeBlanc and another Phantom Thieves adventure are in luck. Persona 5 Tactica arrives day 1 on November 17th. It mixes things up too, with an adorable new art style and a tactical combat system that will provide even the most seasoned thieves with a whole new challenge. A shindig that's been years in the making, Party Animals will finally be bopping its way onto Game Pass on day 1, September 20th. Pick your preferred animal and watch the fur fly in this incredibly silly, absolutely hilarious physics-based brawler. Because if watching a corgi wallop a gorilla with a squash racket doesn't make you smile, then you may need to consult an orthopedist, because it seems someone is made off with your funny bone. With its slick cyberpunk style, challenging one-hit kill gameplay, and the fact that it lets you slice guys with the samurai sword while doing badass parkour moves, the original Ghost Runner left us desperate for more of its first-person slasher gameplay, and we'll be getting just that with its next-gen exclusive sequel.
Speaking of Cyberpunk, well, Cyberpunk 2077 has often led us to wonder what terrors the future might hold. But the short term is looking pretty tight, with the Phantom Liberty DLC set to add an exciting new locale for players to explore and some intimidating new bad guys for them to face off against. Oh, and now that he's done rescuing hijacked airplanes, Idris Elba will also be on board when Phantom Liberty arrives on September 26th. Finally, one of the most iconic series in all of gaming is coming to Cologne to rip out some hearts, lop off some heads, and generally make a right mess of the place. It's Mortal Kombat 1. Built exclusively for next-gen hardware, the latest entry in this long-running arcade fighter promises to be gorier than ever, while also introducing a few cool new mechanics like a refined version of the air combat combo system and a roster of cameo fighters who you can tag in to help you out. Best of all, the big fight is almost upon us, with Mortal Kombat 1 taking on all comers from September 19th. And once you've spent some time beating the game's roster of iconic characters to a pulp, the first DLC pack will add even more muscle, with the likes of Invincible's Omni-Man, Homelander from The Boys, and John Cena's exceptionally patriotic, somewhat sociopathic hero, Peacemaker. We all know that Omni-Man wins that fight, right? Yeah, good. Glad you all agree.
No way.
He does, Bex. And while the chance to get hands-on with some hot new titles is always exciting, that's not all Gamescom 2023 has up its sleeve. We'll be getting another tantalizing look at Starfield ahead of its September 6th release, as well as cinematic showings for Aura, History Untold, and Forza Motorsport. And if you're lucky enough to be at the show in person, you can grab yourself a themed snap with photo opportunities for Starfield, Sea of Thieves, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, Aura History Untold, Cyberpunk 2077, Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, and the Elder Scrolls Online Necrom. God, it's quite a lot of stuff.
Be sure to come say hi to us too.
Yeah.
It's a truly astonishing collection of games, and we can't wait to get a good look at them all at this year's Gamescom. I'm sure you can't either, so stay tuned to Xbox On to see everything that comes out of the show. Bye!
See ya!